They all come here with a dream.
There you go.
Their talent, hard work, and drive have led them to this moment. This is where they make a name for themselves, where they show the world who they really are, where they prove the doubters wrong,
Touchdown, Ravens!
and where they prove they're more than relevant.
Wow, Brock Purdy!
This year brings a standout class of big-name talents, eager to follow the superstar paths of those who came before them. Today, it's time for the running backs to shine, along with an elite receiving corps, and of course, the would-be franchise quarterbacks. The next great story begins here, where future stars seize the moment. This is the 2024 NFL Scouting Combine.
Defense is done. It's time for the spotlight to shine on the quarterbacks. Caleb Williams, J.J. McCarthy. Hey, give us a wave, Michael Penix. Let us see that 10.5-inch hand that he's going to be gripping the football with and letting it rip later today. Quarterbacks, wide receivers, and there's a look at the running backs. Cody Schrader, Jaden Shurden getting weighed, measured, and tested before they take the field as the first group of the day here on day 3 of the 2024 NFL Scouting Combine. Day 3 of Combine today as we welcome you in here from the concourse level inside Lucas Oil Stadium alongside Lance Zierlein, Bucky Brooks. I am Rhett Lewis. Great to be back here with you today. All due respect to the groups that have come and gone from Indianapolis, but it's time for the main event. What are we excited about here today, bud?
I am excited about the passers and the playmakers. Anytime you have an opportunity to see these guys, we talk about the NFL transitioning to a passing league. It's all about the throwers and catchers. We get a chance to see the best of the best do their deal today.
Look, for me, we've heard a lot about the top 3 quarterbacks, a lot. But this is a great chance for Michael Penix. It's a great chance for Bo Nix. It's a great chance for Spencer Rattler. A lot of these quarterbacks to really put their name back in the mix for public conversation. The teams are still looking at these players the same way, but I think they deserve, and there's some other wide receivers and running backs that deserve more of the conversation. And I think some of the performances we could see here could do just that.
All right, and when the quarterbacks and wide receivers and running backs all finish up their 40s and their jumps, they're going to hit the field for positional drills, and that's where you can catch the Players Only Combine exclusively on NFL Plus, presented by Noble, where I will hang out with my friends Maurice Jones-Drew and Michael Robinson first for the running backs. Then we'll get Kurt Warner, Steve Smith Sr., Michael Irvin on the field for the receivers. We'll even welcome Allen Robinson to the program here as well. Maybe relive some of his combine performance days from back at his Penn State collegiate career. As we take a look now at the former collegiate quarterbacks that Bucky has in his top 5. J.J. McCarthy, could have, arguably has a chance to make the biggest jump of anybody here today. Michael Penix Jr. in there at 4. Tar Heel, Drake Maye at 3, Jayden Daniels at 2, Caleb Williams at 1. Not going to see those top 3 work out today, but we can certainly talk about them. Starting with Caleb Williams, who was the first shot of video that we showed you here today. He did take the podium, answered some questions for the first time since a post-game news conference following his final game at USC. Why have we been talking about Caleb Williams now for more than a calendar year as the top dog in this class?
I mean, look, he's a dude. He's a big-time player. He's been a big-time player since he burst on the scene at Oklahoma, continued to play in spectacular fashion at USC, particularly the Heisman Trophy year. And when you watch him, it's all about the improvisational talent that he displays. Yes, he can throw from the pocket on time. He can throw the deep ball and do all those things. But where he makes his money is on off-schedule plays. Elite arm talent, can do it from a bunch of different arm angles. When he does it, he specializes in making wow plays, sometimes to his detriment, but he is a wow playmaker, and because of that, people are fascinated by his talent and what he could do at the next level.
Look, I think a lot of people want to compare him to Pat Mahomes, and I don't think it's fair to Caleb, and I don't know that it's actually an accurate comp. I think an accurate comp is actually Kyler Murray for all the things you just talked about. And people look at that as a negative comp, but you really shouldn't. He was pick 1-1. You know, it was the first pick of the draft when he came out, worked out of Lincoln Riley's offense as well. He's a guy who is a tremendous play extender and an improv talent. I think there's been some inconsistencies here with Kyler, but some of the same issues in terms of taking plays off schedule unnecessarily, not staying on rhythm. You know, that's a similarity. But similarly, his ability to whip it around with great arm talent, because Kyler's got some arm talent. Bigger arm for Caleb Williams, but I think there's a real similarity. Russell Wilson is another one that makes some sense in terms of the dual threat stuff. But there's a lot to like about Caleb Williams, but I think he's going to be a lot better when he gets to a team with maybe a little better separators at the wide receiver.
Bigger frame than those guys do. Checks in at 6'0", so 6'1" and an eighth, 214 pounds for Caleb Williams. Let me ask you this real quick before we get to the next guy. We show so much of the off-schedule stuff. Does that mean that he can't do it on schedule, Bucky?
I mean, he can do it, but he needs to be more disciplined in doing it. The thing he is a big play hunter. He's looking for the big play. He doesn't show the discipline and the patience to play a little dink and dunk. So it's on to the offense coordinator, the quarterback coach, and the head coach ultimately to teach him how to play the game on time and on schedule. If he does that with the other stuff, he has the opportunity to be a special player.
Bucky, next guy on your list, Jayden Daniels, who will not work out today, but has arguably been the buzziest player here at the Combine, maybe even getting some love beyond Caleb Williams for the number one overall pick. Why is everyone so enamored right now with the Heisman Trophy winner?
Because when you look at the tape, Red, you go, ooh, wee. You just don't see a guy who is an elite dual threat quarterback who is elite as an arm talent and also as a guy that can run around. You just don't see guys who can make plays like he makes. And so we talk about Lamar Jackson, what Lamar Jackson's been able to do as a two-time MVP. Jayden Daniels is a better thrower than Lamar Jackson coming out of college. You could argue that they're comparable in terms of running, not as flashy as Lamar, but he gives you like rare traits at the position. Remember, 12,000 pass yards, 3,000 rush yards.
200 against Florida?
Quarterback to be able to do that. This is a special talent in Jayden Daniels.
He's a 5-year starter. He's gone through the ups. He's gone through the downs. He was at Arizona State trying to carry that team. He went to LSU, got some great talent around him. Some people want to hold it against him. But honestly, his game got better if you watch tape. And I remember watching him and liking him when he was just a skinny freshman. Now he's a thin senior, redshirt senior, but 5-year senior. But I can tell you the thing that stands out to me is he plays with so much more poise. He gets through his progressions. That's something that you'll see him do as well. Yes, he is an elite runner and he's a really good passer. But I looked at the intermediate throws, right, and I saw a guy who threw on time, who threw with anticipation. I see somebody that on tape is really, it's almost 1A, 1B in my grades between Caleb Williams and Jayden Daniels. It's not far off.
Let's move to Drake Maye. He's training with QB Country, David Morris. He's worked with some of the big names and was Eli Manning's backup at Ole Miss. And that is his comparison for Drake Maye, is Eli Manning. Sees a lot of the same temperament, a lot of the same competitiveness, and some of the same traits. What do you see when you flip on your Tar Heel?
Yeah, I would say Eli Manning plus. I think he's more athletic than Eli Manning.
Sure.
He has a different dimension to his game. But I certainly like the comparison. When you think about Drake Maye, what you want to see is just the arm talent. This guy is special when it comes to throwing it. When he's protecting, giving time, and giving targets, he makes a ton of plays. Touch, accuracy, timing, you see it over and over again. Man, I just marvel at those uniforms. Those are some pretty uniforms that he played in Carolina. He can escape the pocket. He can run around. He can make plays. Look, this guy was expected to challenge Caleb Williams for the number one overall pick coming into the season. Didn't have the final season that he wanted to. But make no mistake, this guy's an elite level player. He just has to be in the right system with the right players, and it can pop at the next level.
I think he's still learning to play. You know, Sam Howell's had some of the same issues. Part of the North Carolina offense that makes it so explosive at times is you have guys who can run, and they're on straight goes. And then it's your job to throw it with accuracy down the road, Bucky. But when I look at Drake Maye, the thing that stands out to me is he brings a tremendous energy to the field, but sometimes that energy can turn chaotic when it's not controlled energy. So I think reining it in a little bit and learning to take some speed off the fastball, throw it with a little better touch and a little better accuracy on the intermediate and short throws is going to make all the difference in the world. And some of that is just when he gets to the point that he realizes, I think it's going to have to be a play in structure situation. I think he needs a year to sit. Honestly, I think he would really benefit from the mental reps and being behind a veteran quarterback. He's a two-time team captain. I think the players love him, but you got all those traits, and you want to try to package it in a nice, I think, a nice polished package, and that doesn't happen overnight.
Saw him throw one of those touchdowns to Tez Walker, his teammate at wide receiver, who we're going to see later today. I bet if Tez was eligible the whole season, we'd have probably seen some bigger numbers from Drake Maye
for sure.
This year. He didn't really get eligible till the end of this season. Let's move to Michael Penix Jr. I know very well from his time at IU, and then obviously excelled at Washington, Lance Zierlein. I think he's got a chance to win the day in the throwing.
He does. Penix had the best game that I saw last year. The best game for any quarterback was C.J. Stroud against Georgia, and we see what happened with him. The best game I saw on tape was Penix versus Texas. He threw with unbelievable touch, unbelievable placement, and unbelievable accuracy. He was in complete command of the offense. Texas could never catch up with what Michael Penix was doing. Now, the problem is the next game, when things got a little hot in the pocket, he was not as great. He's a guy who's had 4 season-ending injuries. Year 1, 2, 3, 4 of his career at Indiana, has gone to Washington, has not suffered those issues. So now the question is, okay, well, can he remain durable during the during an NFL season? But there are some inconsistencies with some of the decision-making that he got away with, throwing the ball up to elite ball winners in Polk and Odunze. However, they had the most intermediate and deep throws of any quarterback that you were going to find this year. So he's thrown pro passes. He's been in a scheme, I think, that is going to be a vertical passing attack that will really show off what he's capable of doing. Teams don't have to sift through a bunch of dink and dunk stuff. What he needs to do is already there on tape. So that's really going to benefit him. I think, Bucky, it's going to be just the injury stuff that he has to really be worried about with teams.
Yeah, that's the team that scares people off. Just the 4 season-ending injuries, that works against him, because now you question the durability. There'll be some questions maybe about the toughness. But I will say this. If he's protected, I don't know if there's a better thrower of the football in the pocket. This guy is a dart thrower from the pocket.
Great.
He's done it at a high level 2 years at UW. It'll be interesting to see where he comes off the board and which team allows him to be their QB1.
C.J. Stroud stole the show out here on the field with the quarterbacks last year. Penix could do the same this year. We could be talking about J.J. McCarthy in that light as well, because you watch the tape, you do see the flashes of that high-level quarterback play. Just the Michigan offense didn't allow for the volume, did it?
No, it didn't allow from the volume. And when I look at him, he reminds me a lot of what I saw from Justin Herbert in terms of their playing style. Justin Herbert at Oregon the last year wasn't really given the freedom to be a dual-threat playmaker. When I look at J.J. McCarthy, he has the athleticism, he has the arm talent, he has the leadership ability and the intangibles to be a really solid starting quarterback. The thing that we don't know is what he wasn't given the opportunity to do. Doesn't mean he can't do it, but I think this guy has a chance to change the narrative about his game by how he performs at the combine. If he teases a little bit with that arm talent, I think the imagination is going to run wild for decision makers looking for a QB1.
He's a little slender, but, welcome to the NFL now. You're dealing with that in every draft class now, it seems like. But he is a very good athlete, as we see right here, can pull it, run, hurt you with his legs. He's not a run-first quarterback by any stretch, but he did play in a pro-style scheme, which is going to be a benefit to him. He understood how to get the ball to the players in space, threw with good touch and accuracy, had tremendous accuracy on the move, tremendous in the 70% range. And I think one of the things that really stands out to me about him is that no situation seems too big for him. And I had a pro personnel evaluator or director tell me he thought after watching the tape that he was an elite field processor and thinks that that's going to just really rocket him past other guys early on. This is a guy who's very, very well could be the third quarterback off the board. Not Drake Maye, not Jayden Daniels. I think it's going to go Williams, then Daniels, and then I think it's got a good chance of going McCarthy 3 because NFL teams are really impressed with this guy.
He kind of reminds me of Alex Smith. When Alex Smith played at a Pro Bowl level, I can see a lot of those traits in J.J. McCarthy's game.
6'0", so 6'2" and a half for J.J. McCarthy, 219 pounds. So kind of bulked up a little bit. He's heavier than Bo Nix.
Yeah, I think he was 209 at one point this year. So, he is bigger.
Something to think about there. Let's talk about Bo Nix here a little bit, Lance Zierlein, because I know you've been a fan, especially in the last couple of weeks, as you kind of been, after the Senior Bowl, seeing some of the arm talent out there.
Yeah, I wrote him up. I remember writing him up before the Senior Bowl, and I was shocked. I mean, look, we all have issues with having the subconscious blinders on. His time at at Auburn wasn't great. He was not in a great situation. He went over and rebuilt himself in Oregon. And when you watch tape, this is not the same Auburn. Auburn Bo is gone, so you can throw that away. Last year he was good. This year he was great. He plays with really good field, with field mobility, as you're seeing right here. He is extremely accurate outside of the pocket. He was one of the best intermediate passers from an accuracy and placement standpoint. And what I saw, and what really surprised me, was his ability to throw darts on the move, to throw darts with good zip. He had a tight spiral. He was very accurate. And honestly, I think Bo Nix had maybe right there with Jayden Daniels. I think it's Bo Nix had the best tape this year. The numbers look great. Yes, there are some short little throws, and average depth of target is not great. But when I go and watch deep and intermediate throws, pro throws, he makes them, and he has no issues with them.
Kind of reminds me of a bulked-up Brock Purdy. In terms of the experience, in terms of what he's been able to go through.
Yeah, 5 years.
That experience is going to lead to a little level of expertise.
Bucky went through adversity, right?
Yeah, a lot of adversity. Now he's ready to go.
No question. And look, make no mistake, like this is a big-time quarterback group, and we are in for a treat to watch these guys throw it around and watch the guys that are going to be catching it. Yes, the wide receivers and the running backs. We are going to talk about the wideouts next as the running backs get some of their testing going right there. Jayden Sheridan on a fast 40 right now, trying to get another rep at that broad jump. Scouting Combine today continues from Lucas Oil when we come back. All right, back here with you on Combine today as we shift our focus to the wide receiver group. Two groups of wideouts with those two groups of quarterbacks that are on the field today. And look, Marvin Harrison is the top dog, but we will not see him compete today. Same goes for Malik Nabers, who checks in at number 3 on Bucky's top 5 wideouts list. Brian Thomas, his LSU Tiger teammate, will be out there competing today and is a fun watch. Keon Coleman checks in at 4. Rome Odunze competitor. You're going to see him out there running routes today as well. Look at the crowd that is filtered in here to Lucas Oil Stadium. You've heard him on our NFL Network broadcast. Every time there's a fast 40 or a really nice catch made, something like that, they do get into this thing, and it's fun to have him here. And it's fun to be here with you guys from the concourse level. Rhett Lewis, Bucky Brooks, Lance Zierlein back here with you talking wideouts. We're not going to see Marvin Harrison Jr. today, but Bucky, we saw plenty of him over the last couple of seasons in Columbus.
Yeah, we saw a lot of him. And look, everyone loves him because he's a pro's pro, meaning when you watch him on tape, he does all the things that the high-end players in the National Football League do. When I watch him, reminds me a lot of Larry Fitzgerald. And it's, look, just the power, it's the ability to consistently get open, natural pass catcher, does it in a bunch of different ways. We talk about the yards after catch, just making it happen. He does it over and over and over again. He just has a knack to be able to get open. That's why the comparisons to the gold jacket guy are so eerily similar.
Yeah, I've got a comparison to a guy who might become one, and that's CeeDee Lamb. That's my comp for him. And one of the reasons is simple. He's a 3, just like CeeDee Lamb. He is a 3-level playmaker. He makes it very easy for quarterbacks to find him. Right, he has got the ability to separate quickly. One of the best traits that both of these guys have is their ability to change speeds with their routes, rock guys to sleep, hit you with a little crossover, bang, bang at the stem. And then, from a crossing route standpoint, he's gone. He's got a second gear he'll use. Marvin Harrison Jr. is an elite ball tracker deep right there. That's easy. I mean, that's light work there. But go ahead and put somebody right in his face, and he still has tremendous focus, as we'll see right there, to bring it in, make the body adjustments. CeeDee Lamb, another great body adjustment player with the ball in the air. They create late separation, and they ramp up their focus as the ball is coming in. A lot of similarities between these two guys, and I think what makes Marvin Harrison Jr. so appealing to me is he's going to make the job of the quarterback so much easier because you're always going to find him. He's always going to give you a window.
Hard to compare him to his dad because he's about 6 inches taller.
Yeah, different types.
But you know what? Almost just as smooth. Like he's got that body control, right? That's really impressive when he can go up and make some of those catches, get his feet down, contort and all that. And he is, most likely the first wide receiver off the board, but we shall see. We know Odunze won't be far behind Bucky Brooks, and we're going to get to see him out here competing, which I love. Physicality, finesse, he's kind of got it all.
He does have it all. He's a rugged playmaker on the perimeter. He is someone that is just tough to deal with. He just has superior physicality and toughness on the perimeter. I just love the way that he consistently wins those 50-50 balls down the field. When I watch him, he reminds me a lot of Jamar Chase in terms of how he gets down, how he dominates the game. It's not always just a smooth, fluid process, but it's just the way he wears you down with his physicality, the ability to win in traffic consistently. He does those things. I love Odunze. I think this conversation at the top of the board with the top 3 wide receivers is a very fascinating one.
So I think it's a wide open conversation for teams. I think the general public thinks it's Marvin Harrison Jr. and then everyone else. The reality is I've talked to teams who have it all over the place. I mean, I think people would be very surprised to see this is a 3-man race at the very top. And Odunze is going to make it even more clouded because he's going to come out here and blaze. I know on tape he looks like maybe a 4.5 40 guy.
Yeah.
But when he runs, I've been told that he can really roll and that he's a guy who doesn't always play fast because he's always kind of looking to turn it into a jump ball. He did work in the offseason with the basketball team at Washington, learning how to play with body control, box out, and he just wanted to put those. That's no big deal. He just wanted to put his basketball skills out there with the jump balls, Bucky. So, but he is, as Bucky mentioned, not just strong, not physical, just with the body, but with the hands. Like once it's in his paws, it's a wrap. And that's how you win contested catches. 61% contested catch success rate, which is extraordinarily rare, and that's a big-time skill. But when he runs well, now teams are going to say, uh-oh. And I mean, when I say run well, all he has to do is hit the 4.42 mark. He's a bigger guy. He breaks 4.42. We got a real discussion on our hands.
Spaghetti-o.
Nobody's had more contested catches than Odunze in college football.
Well, I don't love, but see, that's the thing.
Well, yeah, because he could have had a bunch of opportunities. The percentage is big too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's got a great win percentage, but I'd like to see a few less with tightening up the route work and playing faster. Yeah.
Now, the thing is, like, we call those 50-50 balls. You said 60%, so he's a 60-40 guy.
Yeah,
right?
no, he's a casino guy. Yeah. The odds are always in his favor.
Always in his favor. Bet on the house. Let's talk Malik Nabers here, Lance Zierlein, because you got him as your top guy.
Top dog. Malik Nabers for me is partially the tape and partially the projection. I think Malik Nabers, you want to see him run here. I wish he would. This is a blazing fast track. Malik was going to crush it. He'll do that at his pro day. Malik Nabers has, he's just messing around there, Bucky. No big deal. He's got good size, but he's got the ability as a route runner. I think there are flashes where I think, man, nobody is going to be able to stick with him. And he's got tremendous deep speed, but also he can hit the gas exceptionally quickly. So once he gets a lead on you, it's a boat race. You cannot come back on him. It's a wrap. And with Malik Nabers, to me, the best is yet to come. He kind of glides through routes and does not have a lot of attention to detail. But if he wants to get better, that's going to happen. And this is just the next man up situation at LSU for me. You had Jefferson, you had Chase. You've had OBJ. This is just the next guy that I think is going to become an elite talent. And for me, he's my top player in the 2024 NFL Draft, followed very closely by Marvin Harrison. I think these two receivers are the guys that we're going to remember out of this class, maybe more than anybody.
Ooh, well, I had to digest that. He's the top guy in the class.
Ahead of the quarterbacks.
You may not like. Now look, you may not like 120 yards per game. You might not like that, Bucky. I'm a fan of that. You may not like 4.340.
I just want to reset and make sure.
Yeah.
I put something strong in my car. We talk about the best in the class.
I said it. I meant it, and I will represent it, Bucky.
He's a dog. I love him. But number one overall.
That's big. High praise.
Hit reset. Yeah. Let's hit the reset on this draft.
All right, let's talk Keon Coleman here, because you want to talk about another dude that can go up and win up in the air. That's the big fella down at Florida State.
Absolutely. He's Dennis Rodman on the football field. This guy's a ball catcher. He's a 50-50 jump ball specialist. Does it over and over again at Florida State. And it's not about the route running. It's just about the natural playmaking ability. I don't know if I've ever seen someone come down with more creative and acrobatic catches than this guy. It reminds me a lot of when you see DeAndre Hopkins. There are people always draped on him, but he's always open. That is what Keon Coleman brings to the table. He expands the strike zone for the quarterback because he is so good at winning the 50-50 balls and bean topping those little cornerbacks.
And I would say, when you're watching Trey Benson, who we're also going to see today, his teammate, you'll see Keon Coleman helping clear the way for Trey Benson in the run game, which I thought was pretty cool. And probably with his teammate Johnny Wilson, the biggest catch radius of any wide receiver duo in college football this year. 84 and 3/8-inch wingspan for Johnny Wilson.
Whoa!
Yeah,
another 7-foot wingspan. That's
the most. That's the most that we've seen today at the combine thus far. The biggest wingspan. All right, let's move to Brian Thomas, Lance, Malik Nabers' teammate at LSU.
Yeah, it's easy for Brian Thomas to get kind of shaded by Malik Nabers, but the fact is Brian Thomas was even more productive. Brian Thomas is a touchdown maker, and the reason is simple. When you take a look at him, not only does he have size, but he's a great hand fighter, and that's something we're seeing here. In getting pass press, hand fighting, separation, he's gone. Once he gets down the field, right there, you see him run that route with a little leverage to it. That's how you open smaller windows, but you open the bigger windows with the catch and run, and he's got some catch and run as well. But what I really loved is once the ball went up, they had the ability, Jayden Daniels, to really trust his big man. He's got great catch radius. He's got tremendous body control, and he's a very confident football player. He just exudes confidence on the field. So,
how many slot fades did they throw for a touchdown? How many slot fades did they throw for a touchdown?
A ton. They love it. They love it. The slot fade is unguardable at LSU.
That's right. What'd you think of Brian Thomas?
Look, man, when I talked to his quarterback coach, Cortez Hankton, he talked about him being the natural. The game is so easy for him. Smooth, fluid, polished, can make it happen. Just needs to up the ante when it comes to just being diligent with the work. The difference between him and Nabers is just the dog mentality that Nabers plays with. Thomas doesn't have it, but the game is so easy for him.
Yeah.
Super gifted, super talented, the guy who has all the traits that you look for.
Didn't start playing football until his sophomore year of high school. So, we're still scratching the surface there. Yeah. Lance, let's talk about a player not on Bucky's top 5.
Man, I call him A.D. Mitchell, Addy Mitchell, whatever you want to call him. Just call him a riser. He is going to be fast again. Little Birdie says he's going to run way faster than people think. He's a transfer over from Georgia. And when you watch Georgia tape, the first thing you're going to run into is his game against Ohio State. And he really showed some impressive flashes, but was still very, very raw. And it's funny because I went back. I'd already watched a lot of Longhorn games this year. I went back and said, man, he was really raw then. I came back and really fine-tuned the tape study, and he made some tremendous growth as a route runner and as a player who learned to play big to his size. But he's got all the talent in the world. I mean, he's got great body control for his size. He's got great speed. I want to see him play even bigger, though.
Yeah.
When the ball goes up, make sure you let people know how big you are, and that's something. That's that dog mentality, Bucky, that can separate good from great in the NFL.
Big impact is what we saw from the defensive backs and the tight ends on day 2. And then when their on-field work was done, they got to go hang out with Kimmy Checks.
I love this one. It's Little Cooper. We got to keep you humble here. A little throwback with your family.
I was super mad right here. I dropped this ball. I shouldn't be dropping footballs.
You smile when I bring up your son, Houston. He's a year and a half.
Year and a half.
What's your message to him as you prepare for this next step?
Be yourself and don't change for anybody.
So we're going to try to do a blind taste test and guess the flavors, all right? These are cute babies.
Yeah. Well, this was my first baby, so.
3-time All-American. How cool is it to reflect on that accolade?
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. It was a great 3 years, and I mean, to be put up there with those 2 guys, too, it's pretty cool.
Like I just told Kimmy, I'm here to take her job, man. I'm a natural in front of the camera.
Look at you.
Oh, man.
Can we put you on blast for a second?
I should really be interviewing her right now, but we'll let it pass, and we'll let her do me today.
Hold on, don't just guess it because I'm guessing it, first of all.
And hey, make us proud with these numbers on Pro Day, all right?
You know I got you.
All right,
Make
let's
sure y'all
see
tune in, man. TA out.
All right, when we come back here on this Saturday edition of Combine Today, as we get ready for the quarterbacks, wide receivers, and running backs, we'll take another look at this quarterback class, and we'll get some insight. A guy who used to coach them in the league, Pep Hamilton, will join us with his thoughts on these signal callers when we come back. Where are the quarterbacks going? Are we going to get them 1, 2, 3? How many in the first round? Well, Bucky's answering the question for us. Here are the quarterbacks in his first round. 4 go, and actually they all go in the top 12 picks, with Caleb, Jayden, and Drake going 1, 2, 3 to the Bears, Commanders, and Patriots respectively, with J.J. McCarthy the other first-round QB going number 12, Deshaun Payton and the Denver Broncos. Welcome back to Combine today here inside Lucas Oil Stadium as we get set for day 3 of on-field action with the quarterbacks, wideouts, and receivers. Rhett Lewis, Bucky Brooks, welcoming Pep Hamilton to the program, Pep. I know you made a living sitting up here in the suites in the stands here evaluating these guys, so we're really excited to have you with us. But now that you're over here with us, you can play into some of the scenarios. Let's talk about Justin Fields, the Chicago Bears, and the #1 pick. What should they do?
I tell you what, I've been looking forward to this scrimmage with you guys, but I say first and foremost, let's allow the data to drive the strategy, in my opinion, okay? I had the opportunity back in the day to coach quarterbacks at the Chicago Bears. And I want to start out by saying that Soldier Field, all right, historically hadn't been quarterback friendly during the latter part of the season.
Yeah.
All right, so why does that matter, okay? All right, quarterbacks for the Bears, the starting quarterbacks for the Bears during the months of December to January have a lower quarterback rating, and they average less than 200 yards passing per game in those months compared to the rest of the league, who averages 263 yards passing per game. So why does that matter, okay? I'm going to tell you why it matters. I think the Bears should keep both quarterbacks. They should draft Caleb Williams and keep Justin Fields. For this reason, Justin Fields has a skill set that's going to translate to him being able to do more than just drop back and pass the ball during the winter months at Soldier Field.
Man, that's a really
Do we think the two could coexist?
Absolutely.
Two alpha guys that want to be the dude?
And for this reason.
Yeah.
All right, Caleb's going to need some time in the incubator.
Okay.
All right, no different than Pat Mahomes. He sat his first year. All right, but you have the best of both worlds when you look at the Bears' situation right now. They got to play better defense. They started to trend that way at the end of the season. And you're talking about a quarterback in Justin Fields who can do more than just drop back and pass the ball. We know Caleb's elite. Justin's still on his rookie contract. It won't cost him a bunch. So we're talking about two guys that can compete and grow at the same time.
I really like that take in terms of a collegiate take, because that's what you do in college. Right. In college, just because you're the 5-star recruit, you come in, you play behind the other guy, you have to earn it. But let me take the opposite position. Let me be the devil's advocate.
Sure.
So you have Justin Fields, and you got to make a decision quickly on whether you pick up the 5th-year option. He played really well last season. So is there some trade currency that you can get from him? If you're a general manager, Ryan Poles, it's your duty to explore the trade market to see if you can get some valuable draft capital coming back to add assets around who you're projecting to be your new franchise quarterback in Caleb Williams. Look, coming from the college side, the draft side, that's what you want.
Yeah.
You want more assets, more lottery tickets to upgrade this roster. That's why it's probably incumbent upon the Chicago Bears to move on from Justin Fields, bring Caleb Williams in, because you can help other parts of the roster with the additional capital.
Let's move to the next quarterback that is kind of in that mix. 1A, 1B, maybe 2, 3, depending on how you look at it. But Jayden Daniels, Pep Hamilton, how do you see this phenomenally productive 2023 season and how that projects to the league?
I'll start by saying that there were 68 different starting quarterbacks in the National Football League this past season.
Is that a lot?
68. That was a new record.
Yeah.
Okay. So availability is going to be the most important ability. What we saw in Jayden Daniels from the previous season to this past season was just a willingness to stay in the pocket and not expose himself to unnecessary hits. All right, this kid has played a lot of football. All right, he's up there in the top 3 of amount of college football snaps of the quarterbacks that are here at the Combine. So I think the ceiling is high for Jayden Daniels.
Look, man, I like that the frame is going to be a concern. But in going back, and we're talking about the guy who just won MVP and Lamar Jackson had a slender frame. Lamar Jackson didn't throw the ball in college like Jayden Daniels did. So we're talking about a special playmaker, and the running part of his game is certainly going to add a dimension. Talented player, but you're right. Durability is a concern. But if you're able to keep him protected and kind of teach him when to run when the opportunities are favorable, you're talking about a guy that can challenge defense in a variety of ways.
Yeah, but I'll say this, 68 different starting quarterbacks. A big part of that is this new trend of dual threat quarterbacks kind of dominating the position in this league, and they're exposing themselves to unnecessary hits. And so Jayden is going to have to continue to mature in understanding how to problem solve without using his legs.
And Jayden did not measure in. He did not go through the measurements with the quarterbacks today, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of measurement we get on him at his pro day down at LSU. Let's move to Drake Maye here, Pep Hamilton. How do you see his ceiling at the next level?
Well, physically, he has a lot in common with Justin Herbert, okay? But the difference is Justin Herbert had 1,200 pass attempts during his career at Oregon, the University of Oregon. Drake Maye had 1,918 snaps of college football, not including the run plays, right? So his ceiling potentially is high, of course, but I do think that we can't teach experience. He's probably going to be better served to go in a situation where he has an opportunity to grow.
Yeah, so redshirt is a big possibility for Drake Maye. But I will say this. He is one of the unique playmakers at the position in terms of the arm talent is there, the elite arm talent is there. And so the comparison to Justin Herbert, you can see because Justin didn't display that until the very end of his career at Oregon. And so in taking a guy like Drake Maye and being able to put him on the shelf, the upside is tremendous. I believe situation and circumstance is everything when it comes to Drake Maye. He has to land in the right environment because if he lands in the right spot, he could be a superstar.
Pep, quickly here, as an evaluator in the NFL, how are teams looking at quarterbacks like Drake Maye who had better tape their junior seasons, right? Let's say better tape in 22 than 23. Same thing with Caleb Williams, really, too, if you think about it.
I think that's a great point. You really start by looking at the turnover tape.
Yeah.
You're looking to see if there's any consistency in really the instinct to expose the football, and that's a deterrent for some organizations, but you got to trust that the coaches that you have on your staff, the plan that you have for that quarterback is ultimately going to help him to realize his full potential as a pro.
Of course, you'd love to see the rise like Jayden Daniels had year over year at LSU, that Joe Burrow had year over year at LSU. Very, very much at the top of the draft because of that final year of tape. Let's move to a dark horse quarterback prospect, Pep Hamilton. Who fits that bell for you?
I think it's Joe Milton from the University of Tennessee. I think you look at the stature. The physical stature is off the charts. He's really smart. Graduated from the University of Michigan, but Joe could probably throw the ball 85 yards, in the air.
I've seen it.
Right, absolutely, here in this stadium today. But he's another quarterback that really hadn't played a lot of football, but he has, attributes that we can't teach, coach, or develop.
So we talk about an elite prospect just based on the traits. The one thing that you wonder, can someone develop that at the NFL level where guys in practice don't get a lot of snaps against the ones? It would have to be a concerted plan to bring him in. But you're right. He has plus attributes in so many different categories that a team that believes in a quarterback school certainly would take him later in the draft and kind of shelf him and really put a lot of resources in developing him on the practice field.
We'd love to see Joe in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Well, let's just say it's probably a good thing that Lucas Oil Stadium does not have the huge video board hanging from the center of the rafters, because that thing would be in danger with Joe Milton, the way that he could throw the football around. Pep, it's been fun, man. Thanks for giving us a few minutes of your time here today at the Combine. And when we come back here on Combine today, we are shifting our focus to the running backs. Probably not going to see a Bijan Robinson type or a Jahmyr Gibbs type go in the first round this year, but this running back group potentially could separate, maybe more so than any other position group, have a chance to put their names on the map when they get out onto the field, and we'll preview it when we come back. All right, back here with you, Combine today, rolling on as we check in with the running backs that are going to hit the field here momentarily. First group on the docket on day 3 of the Scouting Combine presented by Noble. Jonathan Brooks is Bucky Brooks' top running back, although we won't see him today, still recovering from the season-ending injury that he suffered this last year at Texas. Trey Benson, Blake Corum, Bucky Irving, Audric Estime, 2 through 5 in Bucky's top running back group. And looks like we're going to see those guys out here letting it rip, which we're excited about. Rhett Lewis, Bucky Brooks, Lance Zierlein back here with you on the concourse level of Lucas Oil Stadium. Since we're not going to see Jonathan Brooks today, show us what he put on tape this year before the injury.
Total package at a running back spot. Right now in the National Football League, you got to be able to do everything. You got to be able to run it. You got to catch it. You got to be solid in pass protection. This guy checks off all the boxes in the area, and it's very apparent when you look at the tape. He has spectacular playmaking ability, patient, explosive, great vision and burst. I love the balance and body control. We talk about it at running back, just being able to have that contact balance where you can run through those glancing blows. He has that. Finishing skills, putting the ball in the tape. But this is where he really can get it done. A receiver out the backfield, soft hands, can do it on screens and swings and those other things. Like his game overall. It's unfortunate that he has an ACL injury. Whenever someone pulls the trigger to draft him, they're getting a guy who should be an RB1 for a long time in the league.
Yeah, I really, really like him. And I know it's the braids and I know it's the Longhorn, but I mean, I see some elements of Jamal Charles with his game. I really do. Now, he's not quite the explosive slasher that Jamal was special in that regard and had an unbelievable elite top-end speed. I think he's about a 4.5 40 guy, but plays really, really fast. And what I love, Bucky, is that first phase of the run where you hit that gas. He's got great gas early. He builds up momentum to run through the arm tackles, but he's a really smooth slalom-style runner between the tackles. And I just love his bend and smoothness between the tackles. So I think Jonathan Brooks is the best running back in this draft. We'll see if he gets drafted as RB1, coming off the knee injury, but he's a talented player who is going to be a long-time pro.
Yeah, and a little over 6 feet and 216 pounds. Actually, one of the taller guys. And now we'll move here to Trey Benson from Florida State, Lance Zierlein, who may have an opportunity to kind of steal the show today in Brooks' absence.
Yeah, he is. He's got good size. He's only been a full-time runner for 2 years, and he only hit the 20 carry mark, I think, once. So there's plenty of tread on the tires, which you always like to see out of a running back. I think the thing that makes him intriguing is that he reminds me a little bit of Chris Carson when he came out, in that he's got size, and sometimes he was a little too cute, a little too sweet with it, getting between the tackles and trying to be a finesse guy when really he needs to be a power guy.
Yeah.
And once Carson did that, he took on a whole new, in the pros, it was different than it was at Oklahoma State. And I think that's what you have with Benson. Benson has the ability to elude. You see, he's kind of a low knee runner, but it also allows him to make his cuts quicker. He runs with good knee bend. He's good getting through the hole and finding those crevices. But what I'd love to see him do is start becoming a more physical finisher, because he's built like it. And once he realizes, hey, I can knock this guy off his feet with the loaded pads, I think he's going to take on a whole new level of running back. Got a good chance to become a solid NFL starter as well.
Yeah, real intriguing prospect. You talk about just the physicality and toughness, just adding that to his game. That just takes someone just saying, hey, man, we got to pour a little gunpowder down his mouth. Make sure he understands how to finish the game with violence. If he does that, he has all the things that you look for at running back.
Yeah, had some of that short area quickness and maybe could improve a little bit of that tight area strength that you guys are talking about there. Let's move forward to Blake Corum, and we'll call him one of the closest to the ground out of this group here, Bucky Brooks. He's smaller package, big-time impact.
He's a low-profile card.
Yeah,
he's down on the ground. He's down, like from H-Town. He's all the way down. He's there. But what I love about him, he scores touchdowns, 58 touchdowns during his time in Michigan. He's a touchdown machine, has a nose for it. And it's the vision, it's the jump cut, the lateral quickness, being able to get in and out of holes. He does it. The balance, the body control is terrific. Doesn't have the long speed that some people desire, but in that 10-yard box, he can do anything that you want to see at the position. This is a really good football player. You throw him in as part of that deep rotation, he's going to be a very productive player for somebody in the National Football League.
I mean, he left Michigan as the school's all-time leading scorer. That says something. Michigan, all-time leading scorer, 366 points. Pretty dang impressive. All right, let's talk about two guys not on Bucky's list here, Lance Zierlein.
Jalen Wright, this is a guy that's RB1 for a lot of running back coaches around the league, and it's simple. I mean, he's a tall running back who can really slash, but he's got bigger top-end speed, can run outside zone where he can plant and go. I think his best football could be ahead of him. It's kind of an intrigue, the running back, the running game that Josh Heupel runs, a lot of stuff offset. You're staying between the tackles. You got to make quick reads and go. I think once you allow him to play in an offense where he's got more space to get the legs churning, has a little bit more time to make his reads, I think that's going to make an absolutely enormous difference. Now, he's got some big-time pull-away speed, as you will see right here. I think he's got a chance to be a big tester. I know there's a lot of people who think that he will run in a 4-3s. 4-3 running backs, they don't come around a whole lot. And when they do, you pay close attention. But you see DBs right here have no chance in that highlight reel package. And he's a guy with real talent to me and a chance to be the first back off the board in the second round.
Isaac Guerendo, another one?
Isaac Guerendo, I can tell you all about Isaac Guerendo, but I think I'm going to flip the script here. That's your guy. It's my guy too, but he's really your guy. You tell me about Isaac Guerendo.
Look, we saw him at the East-West Shrine Bowl, and there were some whispers that he was going to be one of the better testers from that running group here at the Combine. He has a high school track background, won the 100 meters a couple of different times, and the long jump.
In Indiana.
And he did not really get a lot of carries, if at all, his first 4 years at Wisconsin.
Look at him. He's a Wisconsin back just playing for Louisville.
Built just like it,
he went to Wisconsin, transferred over, but what you see is a Wisconsin back that's got some juice vertically.
Yeah, I thought he was a terrific runner, and we really haven't seen a lot of it yet.
Best is yet to come.
His best game was his final collegiate game in that bowl game.
He's a best is yet to come thing, and I can guarantee you because he's fast, big, and physical, teams are going to really like him. Not a lot of tread off the tire, still kind of a moldable prospect as well.
All right, let's start to heat it up here a little bit, right? Who is going to scorch the turf? It is time to get the need for speed. Who's going to run the fastest 40 of anybody today? Quarterbacks, wide receivers, and running backs are our possibilities to choose from. Bucky, who are you going with?
I'm going to go with Roman Wilson from Michigan. I think people are sleeping on Roman Wilson just in terms of the dynamic speed and explosives that he's going to bring to the track. I think he's going to put it down. There have been reports that he's going to run in the low 4.3s.
Yeah.
Well,
he's done it before.
That puts you in the mix.
Yeah, you're in the
so
mix.
he's a very legit and viable candidate to be the fastest one.
He's definitely in the mix, and his speed is really sneaky speed too. His strength coach told me 4.33 is for sure, and he could get into the 4.2. So let's keep an eye on Roman Wilson here. Keep an eye on Xavier Worthy. I mean, there's no secret to his speed. When you watch him on tape, he's got a gas gear that is unlike everyone else's. You see him with the ball tracking right there, but really safeties are immediately in a pedal from the time the ball is snapped because they have no intention of getting gassed by Xavier Worthy. His gas is easy. Woo. You see the separation doesn't take any time for him, and that's why he's got a chance. He's kind of a long strider for being a thin guy, but you see how quick the gas is. So that should, how quickly will he get out? I don't know, but he'll hit his top acceleration very quickly in the 40.
Yeah, All-American as an all-purpose player, so he's got that return ability, and so does my guy to run the fastest 40. Ledietrich Tulu Griffin from Mississippi State, another guy we saw at the Shrine Bowl who was going to return kicks but didn't end up playing in the game. And folks down there at the Shrine Bowl said, watch out, we could get one of those sub-4 threes here with Tulu Griffin. He was the nation's best and most productive kickoff returner in 2022, averaged 30 a pop, which is pretty dang good. It has sent a couple of them to the house. So watch out for Tulu Griffin to say, I am too fast for Lucas Oil Stadium. And when we come back here on Combine Today, time to give some love to some players who aren't getting enough. Some of the guys that are being slept on here from this Saturday prospect group, which includes the quarterbacks, running backs, and receivers, although nobody's sleeping on Blake Corum after 58 collegiate touchdowns at Michigan. How many is he going to score today? We'll find out. All right, it's an absolutely massive day 3 here at the 2024 NFL Scouting Combine presented by Noble, which you can catch, of course, exclusively here on NFL Network and streaming on NFL Plus. Starts in a matter of moments when the running backs get out there to run their 40s. They'll be followed by 2 groups of quarterbacks and wide receivers, 40s testing, on-field drills. We got it all for you coming up at the top of the hour. Plus, you get a little, well, plus, no pun intended there, but you get a little extra coverage today on NFL Plus. When the 40s are done and those groups of running backs, quarterbacks, and receivers hit the field for their position-specific drills, I'm going to be joined by my buddies Michael Robinson, Maurice Jones-Drew, Kurt Warner, Michael Irvin, Steve Smith Sr., and Alan Robinson going to join us as well for the Players-Only Combine on NFL Plus.
I may be watching that just to see if
check in.
Steve ends up with some smoke with someone during the middle of the broadcast.
Now, if somebody tries to take a receiver's head off during the gauntlet drill, they're going to hear from Steve.
Yes.
Yeah.
You better believe it, like he did a couple years ago.
Yeah.
He's not afraid to tell you what's going on. And we're not afraid to amp up the profile of some players who deserve a little bit more love. That's what we're going to do right now. And, Bucky, you're going to start us off with one of those guys.
So we can go to a quarterback, I think Senior Bowl MVP, Spencer Rattler. And the reason why I want to make sure that we hype him up is all these quarterbacks that were in the draft or whatever, coming out of high school, this dude was the one. And I remember a couple years ago, we were hailing him as a potential #1 overall pick.
Oh, sure.
Things didn't go his way. Caleb Williams takes over at Oklahoma, finds his way to South Carolina. That adversity that he had to overcome while performing for the Gamecocks is going to serve him well. This is a very talented player. He's going to have the opportunity to be one of those sleeper selections on day 2 or day 3.
I'm going to go with another sleeper selection, Anthony Gould, wide receiver. I tell you what I really like about Anthony Gould is that he's 5'08", he's 174. He is tremendously competitive there at Oregon State. Kind of a hallmark of the program, honestly. He can help you with punt returns. He can help you with quick catch and run type stuff where he can help you on first level. They played him outside. If you're 5'8", 174, you got to have some incredible speed to play outside, but he's got just that. So to me, the success of Tank Dell, despite his size, gives him a chance to be that guy.
Yeah, he also had a punt return touchdown in the Shrine Bowl, which we broadcast for you here on NFL Network. Had a spin move that lasted about 10 yards, which I thought was pretty interesting. Malik Washington is the most productive receiver in college football this year. 110 receptions to lead all receivers, which is 10 less than he had the previous 4 years combined during his time at Washington, or at Northwestern rather. Said they really let him give him the freedom to work in space from the slot, to run those option routes, sit down in zones and make plays happen, which is why he had that increased production. Another quick one from you here, Buck.
Ricky Purcell. You talk about these guys that can work in space in the slot. Ricky Purcell is the natural. This guy gets it done. He can do it a variety of ways. One of the best slot receivers in the draft class. We're going to talk about him a lot when he makes his entrance into the league.
Yeah, no question. I know, Lance, you wanted to jump in with Will Shipley. And
we're running out of time, but keep your eye on Will Shipley.
Yeah.
He's like a James Cook type guy, too.
Yeah. All right, so that is going to do it for us here on this episode of Combine today. But, man, get ready because the main event is getting ready to kick off. So switch over to NFL Network or NFL Plus and check out all the coverage with the running backs getting set for their first 40s in a matter of seconds, to be followed by the quarterbacks and the wide receivers. And then check us out over on NFL Plus as well. We'll see you there.